After the other presidents demanded a recount, we found a whopping 500 ballots hidden inside a bag of fertilizer. After counting them, we realized that they were all also for Jerry the Rock, proving once again that he is the only president to win unanimously. That proves that he's the right man for the job.
Phew. Okay. False alarm. I knew America wouldn't let me down. Right, tell human beings, Power Gamer here, and you already know what we're doing.
The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons. I already explained this last time, so I'm not gonna repeat myself.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly a big fan of Oracle of Ages, but hopefully this will be one I enjoy more. At the very least, I'm interested to see how it connects. I don't really know what I'm getting myself into, so let's check it out.
So after beating one Oracle game, you're given a password that you can enter upon starting up the second one, and since I already beat Oracle of Ages, let's see what it unlocks. A new cutscene showing Twin Rova that reveals their ultimate plan is to light 3 fires and resurrect the Dark Lord Ganon. Once again, Link is summoned by the Triforce and sent to a new location, this one being the land of Holodrum. Here he encounters a group of Hylian guards disguised as a performance troupe to protect Din, the Oracle of Seasons. Yes, both Oracles are named after the goddesses from Ocarina of Time, and we can imagine the third one would have been named Faeror if that game wasn't cancelled. After dancing with Din for a bit, she's captured by the General of Darkness, Onyx, and imprisoned in the Temple of Seasons, which holds the Season Spirits. Onyx then sinks the temple into the ground, causing the Seasons of Holodrum to go haywire. Link goes to speak with this land's Maku Tree, which is a guy this time, and thankfully he doesn't get butterflies for Link, and he tells him that to reach Din, he needs to collect the 8 essences of nature, and gives him the gnarled key to help him reach the first dungeon. Yeah, this is pretty much the same thing as an Oracle of Ages, but since I've linked them together, they do actually acknowledge the events of the last game I played. This is honestly really cool. It would have been so easy to just pretend they're connected so you can play whichever one you want first, but the password really does link them together and make it feel like one big adventure, which I really like. I think the music in this game is much better than the other one, but the graphics are identical, and so is the general control, so yeah, we still only have 2 buttons for items, and most of them are the same as in Oracle of Ages. The only different ones are instead of the seed shooter, you get the slingshot, which is the same thing, only it can't aim in as many directions. Well, that's 1 point for Ages. Instead of the switch hook, you get the magnet gloves, which let you push and pull certain objects. A really cool idea, though the sound it makes is really annoying. Instead of the Kano Samaria, you can upgrade the boomerang so that it hurts enemies and gets rid of these stupid things. And instead of the power glove, you get the Rock's Cape, which is an upgraded Rock's Feather that lets you double jump. And of course, instead of the Harp of Ages, we have the Rod of Seasons, which is a similar idea, but it works pretty differently. Instead of shifting through time, it changes the area you're currently in to another season. Certain areas have been changed to specific seasons, but you can alter them by selecting the rod and standing on a stump to use it. This works differently from the harp, as it only changes the layout while the characters all remain the same. However, there's 4 seasons instead of just 2, which leads to more layouts total. When you first get the rod, you can only change it to winter, but as you go through the game, you unlock the other 3. Spring causes flowers to bloom, most notably the big ones that launch you upward. Summer dries up deep water and causes these vines to grow, letting you climb up walls, kinda like the seeds in Ages. Autumn sprouts these mushrooms that can be picked up and covers certain holes with leaves, and winter causes snow to fall and remove some plants.
I think the Rod of Seasons is a really cool idea. Like the Harp of Ages, it leads to a good variety of puzzles, which are once again really satisfying to figure out.
I'd say the overworld stuff is about on par with Oracle of Ages. Changing the seasons is a really fun way to explore, and I actually like this even more than shifting through time, since not only is it more original, but it means you don't have 2 different maps to worry about when fast traveling. It's also a lot faster to change the seasons since you just swing the rod instead of having to wait for the song to play. Though we do still have 2 maps to explore, with the second one being the underground land of Subrosia, which is home to these little guys, and being overrun with lava as the Temple of Seasons literally sank into it. You access different parts of Subrosia by finding these portals, and like Holodrum, you can explore more and more of it further as you go into the game. The main purpose of this place is getting the different season powers, but there are a handful of other things you can find here. But if you think this game is identical to Ages just with a different gimmick, you're wrong. Remember how last time I said these games were designed to have a different focus point? Well, Oracle of Seasons has more of an emphasis on combat, while Oracle of Ages had more of an emphasis on puzzles. This primarily comes into play in the dungeons. If you're unfamiliar, Zelda dungeons typically have 2 types of rooms, one where you have to solve some kind of puzzle in order to pass, and ones where you had to just kill a bunch of enemies to open a door. While each game has both, Ages had more puzzle rooms, while Seasons had more enemy rooms. Now, my biggest problem with Oracle of Ages was that the dungeons were extremely frustrating. So is this game better in that department? Well, yes and no. I think the dungeons themselves are a lot less frustrating, since ironically the enemies kill you less than the puzzles, since there aren't as many things you can't get rid of, like holes and laser statues. Those things are still there, and they're still really annoying, but it's much less than in the other game. The main things that hurt you in this game are actual enemies, which feels more like a real challenge instead of just throwing a bunch of unfair death traps at you, and you can actually get rid of them, letting you focus on the puzzle or just getting a move on, which is how it should go. In fact, not all of the rooms require you to kill the enemies, so you can just ignore them if you're really in a hurry. But while the actual dungeons are a lot less tedious, the boss fights are much worse than last time. Oracle of Ages had some really frustrating ones, but Oracle of Seasons, these guys can be the absolute worst. I swear at least half of my deaths in this game came from the boss fights, which sucks because you have to run all the way back every time you die. You do still have the mini-boss warp, but depending on the dungeon, that doesn't always help very much, especially when there's a bunch of stupid traps and enemies in the way.
But aside from some slight story changes, what does linking these games together actually do?
Well, you start out with 4 hearts instead of just 3, you keep whatever animal flute you got in the last game, and you'll occasionally find characters that give you some kind of hint, as well as a password. If you then boot up the first game and go to that location, you find someone you can tell the secret to, and they give you a reward and tell you another password. Then return to the second game, and inside the Maku tree, you meet the Oracle of Secrets named Feyror. Huh, she made it into this game after all. Tell her the new secret, and she'll give you something like item upgrades, extra heart containers, or rings. And once again, there's a long, elaborate trading quest for the sword upgrade. It starts with you lighting these torches, so this guy gives you a cuckoo dex, which you then bring to Malin in exchange for a long egg. No, I have more important things to do. Yeah, what the hell? You're not gonna get me this time, you annoying little... Oh no, give me a break! Ticket Swarm! Ah! You then bump into the returning Maple, and she takes the egg because it's trendy, giving you a ghastly doll. Bring that to this woman who's hot, and she gets chills, giving you an iron pot. Bring that to the chef in Subrosia, who cooks lava soup. Bring that to Bigoron, who's sick, and he gives you a Goron vase. Bring the vase to this collector in exchange for a fish. Use it to lure down this cat and get a megaphone. Use the megaphone to wake up Malin, some things never change, and get a mushroom. Bring the mushroom to Maple's teacher Syrup. Get it, and you can now buy potions, as well as get a wooden bird. Bring the wooden bird to this carpenter for engine grease. Give that to the windmill guy for a phonograph. Use the phonograph to get a hint from this Deku scrub, and follow the correct path to find the noble sword. I think I did this wrong, but whatever. It still does more damage and has the sword beam, which I did mention last time, as I will now show here. Okay, I think I'm starting to see why people lump these games together, since that's pretty much all the main differences. So let's tackle those slightly less aggravating dungeons. You reach the first one, the Gnarled Root Dungeon, almost immediately. You got some minecart rides and booby traps to avoid, a pretty typical first dungeon. The mini-boss is 2 bulls that use your later items against you. You get the Seed Satchel, as well as some bombs, and the boss is Aqua Mentis, returning from Zelda 1. He shoots rings at you, and you gotta slice the horn. It's a pretty easy fight, but don't get used to this. Our first essence is the Fertile Soil. We return to Horon Village, where this prophet named Sakura tells us to find the Temple of Seasons. We then find this hooded girl who tells us it fell into Subrosia and have to follow her without letting her see us. This lets us enter Subrosia, where we find the Temple of Seasons and get the rod. In the corners lie the Spirits of Seasons, but we can only get one, that being Winter. You can also do some dancing down here to get the boomerang. Return to Holodrum, go down this girl's chimney to get the shovel, and now we can reach the second dungeon, the Snake's Remains. Again, a really simple dungeon, but it does have some thwomps and moving blades. You get the Power Bracelet, letting you push these things. The mini-boss is the Floor Face coming back from Link's Awakening, and the boss is Dodongo. Don't worry, these aren't all ripped from Zelda 1. He walks around, rolls, and spits fire at you. You need to throw a bomb in his open mouth, pick him up, and then throw him into the spikes. Not great, but it could be worse. We're given the gift of time and learn that apparently Zelda is here. Wow, she actually showed up this time. That's nice. She's attacked by the returning Moblin King, and then Impa takes her to safety. We also discover that Queen Ambi is visiting.
I didn't realize Holodrum was so touristy. Surprised Majora didn't show up.
We then find Ricky, give him his gloves, and he helps us reach the Spool Swamp, where we get the Flood Key in some random stranger's house. Use it to open this dam, change it to winter, and find Dimitri being harassed. He helps us find another Subrosia portal, where we have to get a ribbon to give to this girl named Rosa. She helps us through these doors, where we get back to the temple and gain the power of summer. This lets us climb up here into the Poison Moth's lair. This dungeon is really annoying since there's a lot of holes and a lot of backtracking. You get the Rock's Feather, fight these stupid squids that you have to yank out, and the boss is the allegedly poison moth named Mothula. It flies in circles shooting fire at you and sending its children to be massacred. You just need to hit it with your sword, but there's a hole in here, and if you fall in, you have to jump back up. And every time you fall, Mothula recovers all of its health. Yep, just like Moldorm in A Link to the Past. I mean, thankfully this fight is nowhere near as annoying, but still. Grab the Bright Sun, and we head east to Sunken City, which has been flooded by the changing seasons. Though, did it get this name before or after? Swim up this waterfall with Dimitri to get a Master's Plaque, so this guy will give you the flippers. Now we can dive to reach the mountains, which are home to the Gorons, and another Subrosia portal. Going through causes these guys to steal the feather, so we have another stealth sequence to get it back. That was pointless. Now we return to the temple and gain the power of spring. Find Moosh and bring him some bananas so we can get the dragon key. After some more mountain climbing, we reach the Dancing Dragon Dungeon. A place filled with water and more holes than anyone should need in their life. You fight this annoying sword sorcerer who clones himself in a dark room, get the slingshot, and the boss is our old pal Goma. Oh hey, it's good to see you. How are the kids? Dang it! This fight is extremely annoying. You have to slash the claw so it breaks off and then fire the slingshot while Goma shoots babies at you. Problem is, if you get too close, it grabs you and slams you around, which does a stupid amount of damage. You get the soothing ring, which I could really use right about now, and return to Eyeglass Lake where we head back into Subrosia. After jumping over lava to get a bomb flower, we reach the final corner of the temple and gain the power of autumn. So now we have all 4 seasons. This lets us reach the next dungeon, the Unicorn's Cave. Sounds pleasant, but again, there's a lot of minecarts, water, and other weird traps. But you do get the magnetic gloves, which, like I said, leads to some pretty cool puzzles. The mini-boss is a tiger that rolls into a ball, and you just need to hit the tail, and the boss is Digdogger. What the hell is that name? Who's probably the best fight in the game. You have to use the gloves to push and pull the spiked ball into him, and then he splits apart and you hit the small ones until they die. Honestly, a pretty cool concept, and challenging in a unique way, which I like. Killing him gives us the nurturing warmth.
Now, trust me, there are many things you could use to describe this game, but nurturing ain't one of them.
But we also see that Twin Rova has successfully lit the Flame of Destruction, so this isn't good. At least now I can grab this ore for a shield upgrade. After running around aimlessly for 20 minutes, I get impatient and go online. Turns out you have to buy this membership card in Subrosia, which lets you buy a treasure map in Horon Village, giving you the location of 4 different gems. You then take these gems to the Tarm Ruins, where you have to use all 4 different seasons to get up here, and then go through the Lost Woods, where you not only have to go in the right direction, you have to be in the right season too. Okay, that is ridiculously stupid. But eventually we reach the Ancient Ruins, which is way bigger than it needs to be, and brings back the turnstiles. Oh, that's just great, a laser statue in a room with tiny moving platforms. We get the Super Boomerang, fight this bat guy returning from Oracle of Ages, and the boss is Manhandla. This brings back the time-honored tradition of this game having horrible boss fights. You gotta hit these plants with the boomerang, but you can only hurt them when they open their mouths to spit fire at you, and I swear they never open their mouths at the right time deliberately to piss you off. If that wasn't bad enough, the floor is constantly moving. Kill them all, and that's not the end of the fight, as you have to quickly hit the body 4 times, letting you slice the heart. God, this fight sucks, and all that just for the blowing wind. We need a boat for the next dungeon, and now that we've been to the ruins, this pirate guy says he'll help us if we bring him his lost bell. Solve this weird door puzzle, and we reach the desert where you carry the skull around to find it in one of these sand pools. Problem is, it's really easy to lose the skull and have to go all the way back. Clean the bell at the Subrosia Smith, and we learn that the captain is actually Queen Amby's lover. That's kinda nice. We finally set sail for about 2 minutes because everyone gets seasick, but it doesn't matter because we can still go into the Explorer's Crypt. 2 rooms have torches in them, and if they go out, you're sent back to the entrance unless you kill one of these ghosts. One has a sword, the other shoots fire. We get the Rock's Cape and then fight both the ghosts where they try to blow out the candles, so you have to keep them lit. But on the bright side, you get a fairy when you kill one of them to heal yourself. Other than that, this dungeon is just annoyingly long. The boss is a dragon named Gleok that spits fire until you cut off its heads and then hit the body while it runs around. There's no real strategy to this fight, you just gotta brute force it, giving you the Seed of Life. And much like last time, we don't get any hints to the location of the final dungeon. Go to the temple ruins and use all 4 seasons to get back into Subrosia where we find it. After entering, Zelda decides to not stand around waiting and rally the townsfolk together.
I'm sure that's gonna go well.
The Sword and Shield Maze is the worst dungeon in the game. Not only is it really long, but it's an ice dungeon, and the physics in here are just plain awful. At one point, you literally have to jump using ice physics onto a conveyor belt to reach an upper ledge. It is infuriating. I will admit the last part where you freeze the lava is kinda cool, though, no pun intended. You get the Hyper Slingshot, which lets you shoot 3 seeds instead of 1, and fight this guy that switches between fire and ice. Just hit him with Ember and Mystery Seeds. The boss is Metalock, a weird hairball thing that teleports spinning at you. You just gotta hit him with your sword and jump over his attacks. Wow, that was pathetic. But this gives us the last essence, the Changing Seasons. Once again, the Maku tree gives us a huge Maku seed, and we're able to enter the temple. But then Twin Rova captures Zelda to create the Flame of Despair. Told you she should have stayed put. The last area just completely sucks. You have small rooms where you fight a bunch of enemies before confronting Onyx, and this is even worse than Varen. The first 2 phases aren't that bad. He swings around a mace and causes rocks to fall, and you can only hurt him with a spin attack. After a while, he brings Din in front of him, and if you hit the crystal, you take damage, so you gotta knock her out of the way with the Rod of Seasons. No idea how you would guess that. And he also starts shooting tornadoes. But then you go down here where he takes his true form, this giant dragon. You need to jump on his hands and then hit him in the head. Simple as that. But touching any part of the hands other than the top causes you to take damage, and all of his other attacks are super hard to avoid. This hand swipe, these orbs, and especially this fire, which can really rack up the damage. And of course, if you die, you go back to the start of the temple. I'm not exaggerating when I say I was stuck on this crap for an hour. And the worst part is because this is the linked game, this is not even the end. After killing Onyx, you save Din, but Twin Rova has already begun to use Zelda as a sacrifice to bring back Ganon. So we go through this pointless puzzle of rooms and reach Twin Rova at the end. This process is almost as bad as the Onyx fight. I mean, the first phase is a joke. They fly in circles shooting fire and ice at you, and like an Ocarina of Time, you knock one witch's shot into the other one. But it's nearly impossible to aim. Thing is, they don't go to the edge, and you only need to hit them 3 times. They share a health bar, so just stand in the corner slashing until you eventually hit them. But then they fuse together, and this is where the garbage starts. The room is filled with either fire or ice, and you slash them until they change color and then hit them with sense seeds. The ice attacks are easy to avoid, though the physics still suck, but the fire attacks are really fast and can knock you back into lava, because of course. Again, this wouldn't be so so hard if it was ever how easy your health is drained. Eventually you kill them, but they use their own essence to bring back in this kind of half form where he just goes nuts. You gotta use spin attacks while avoiding slashes, orbs, a giant blast, and the controls being reversed. There is no recovery in between these 3 fights, and if you die, you have to start all over. Again, I spent an hour on this garbage. Jesus Christ, why can't this game just end already? I'm not having fun anymore. This sucks and I want to be fucking done. Stupid broken rage meter. Come on, please, just die already. Die already, you stupid. Yes, I'm free. Zelda awakens, the Maku tree saves them from this crumbling room, Link is thanked by Din, Nehru, and Impa, and Zelda even gives him a kiss. Wow, I think that's the only time that's actually happened in the series. Well, aside from this, kinda. And thank God I am finally done with the Oracle games.
Game conquered. Oracle of Seasons is also not that great. Like Oracle of Ages, the overworld stuff is pretty solid, and the dungeons are mostly better, but the boss fights are just way more frustrating than they need to be. I'm really sorry to say this, but I don't like the Oracle games very much. They're decent enough at best and brutally unfair at worst. I wanted to get into these games, I really did, but I just did not have a lot of fun playing them. I know I'm clearly really bad at 2D Zelda games, but even still, I found these games to be even more difficult than Zelda 1. There's some really cool concepts in both of these games, but between the really annoying dungeons and ages and the really frustrating boss fights and seasons, I don't think I can fully recommend them. Again, maybe you'll see more value in these games than I do, but as it stands, I don't think you're really missing much by skipping on the Oracle Zelda titles. I think I'm starting to see why Zelda never attempted a dual release like this again. After all, if you try and cook 2 dishes at the same time, they're probably not going to come out exactly as you wanted. These were supposed to be omelets.